We are so back, everyone, on Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Evan, joined by my co-hosts Lauren and Bruce. And guys, we got some Sonic comics today. And I'm realizing now that I've said it, that intro only really works if we started with the really good ones, and we're not.
Okay.
We have a habit of doing that.
Yeah, instead we're starting with Sonic the Hedgehog number 136, and you can't get me to believe that, no.
Well, no, of course not. They've literally
Yeah.
done this exact,
They've done this multiple times.
characters dead, lying in other characters' arms covered before multiple times, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in any other series, like, Jules seems like the perfect character to kill off, because he's personal enough to the hero for it to matter, but he's not such a big piece of the machine that you could not do without him.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I might believe that Jules dies in this series, but not with no fanfare, and not when it's thrown randomly on the cover like this.
I think that's a good way to kind of look at it. We've seen so many of these death fake-outs that it's at this point we expect it to not be the case.
Yeah, we just have no confidence in the writers to really do that, so...
Right.
Instead, here, we have The Infiltrator, written by Romy Chacon and drawn by Art Mowini. Sonic returns home from a long night of missions, only to be attacked in his sleep. It's up to Jules to keep his son safe. I like how, in Sonic's idyllic, like, sitcom family life, he's still eating chili dogs for breakfast.
I cannot imagine eating a chili dog for breakfast.
It's just what Sonic does.
You know, my dad drinks soda in the morning sometimes, and that always, like, freaks me the hell out. It's like, I can't do that.
I do that sometimes, I'll admit that.
It's like a coffee substitute.
Exactly. I don't drink, like, Sprite in the morning, but I'll drink a Coke, like, if I'm on my way to class.
Caffeine, yeah.
Yeah.
Tails here really does not... It looks like... He looks like classic Tails. Like, Art Mowini has not changed how he draws him at all. He just gives him blue eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I guess Tommy is just living with them?
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
The hedgehog parents adopt other children, I guess.
I think that Sonic having to recharge, take time after he's been running too long makes sense, but they almost never have him do that in any Sonic series.
I feel like writers are concerned that that's going to make Sonic look weak.
I don't know, because, I mean, like, Sonic X has him sleeping on rooftops all the time. I feel like that's better than giving him infinite energy.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I like Sonic just kind of, like, snoozing in the middle of things. This confused me to the point that I was like, is Sonic caught an illness or something? Because it's just so, like, unusual.
Right,
Yeah,
we don't see it very
before.
often. Yeah, it makes sense though. I mean, mission that goes way too long. Sonic's gonna be fucking tired as hell.
Yeah. When Tails heads off to school, they call him Miles with a Y again.
I saw that.
I don't know why they've made that mistake multiple times now.
I really don't get it.
There's a little touch here between the Eggman and Adam panels where they just say, oh, we're sending out our thing. But between that and the thing with Tommy, there's this panel where Bernadette accidentally gives Jules a plate of food, and he takes a bite on purpose just to make her feel better, which I think is cute.
That is very cute. Also, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but like, why can't his body still process the food? If he can consume it, there's no reason why his body wouldn't still be able to process it.
Well, his mouth is more cosmetic than anything, I think, on Robian's.
I mean, if he can take a bite, that means it must open.
Yeah, but he doesn't have organs in there. When you get roboticized...
I get that.
I always thought it was kind of more of a casing around your body, but that's definitely not the case.
At least with with the way these comics handle roboticization, that's definitely not the case.
No, they have internal systems and servos and shit.
Right, which I get, and maybe I'm just thinking because in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Data outright says he can eat food and actually gets he gets energy from it.
It is revolting. I hate this.
Oh, yes, I remember that scene. No, so you have to remember Robians. Well, actually, I was about to say they were designed by Eggman, but no, actually they were designed by Chuck.
Right.
So,
And Chuck designed them as designed the concept of roboticization as a way for people, or older people and people who have like injuries and life-threatening diseases and stuff, to survive and
I
live a
might.
comfortable life. So I would assume Chuck
but
seemed like the type
it's we
that
know it
would.
was imperfect, so
Sure, yeah, but I mean, well, yeah, it was imperfect on like the mental level, not physical level.
well, we don't know what the hell he went through while making it. It's kind of
True.
magic, so
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
anyway.
I might. Well, so here's the thing: is there was this one really bizarre scene. Actually, it wasn't just. So there's the one scene in Sat AM where
Yeah.
Chuck eats a chili dog, and then
True.
actually robots also eat food in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So now the more that I think about this, before I brush the idea off, but it's possible. I might say that they can't taste it and they don't
Sure.
need it, and so they just don't
Well,
bother usually.
right. That makes sense to me, because that
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of coincides with me using Data as an example, because he
all the
doesn't need to eat food. He just can.
yeah, and Jules, all that he says is that eating gums up his system, so it's not like it
Right.
hurts him. It's just annoying.
Right.
Makes sense.
Anyway,
I do want to talk about the Eggman frames though.
Mhm.
Because first of all, I like the line, we see a very familiar figure doing what's very familiar to them, acts of evil. And then also that Eggman's latest operation is Operation Dead Hog.
very,
So
very
in
good, very
so in
good.
character.
Yeah, and that's what this issue is actually about. Namely, that Tommy isn't Tommy. Sonic is sleeping, and we see Tommy come up to him, and he's actually an auto-automaton. Remember those?
Uh,
Uh,
I mean, I don't know them by that name, but we've seen robot copies of people before,
yeah,
yeah.
I
we've
feel like
seen
they've
like
called them
actual
that
robot.
before, but yeah, that's what we saw with the fake Sally and the fake
Right.
Fiona. And yeah, he tries to drill Sonic. I don't know if that's really an effective murder method.
I mean,
I
you got drill for arms, so
Yeah, you
sure.
gotta use what you gotta use.
Yeah, but Jules bursts in there to save Sonic, but he gets drilled right in the chest.
Yep,
Um,
so now I know
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing. However, I will say this is a cool moment because Sonic's parents don't do much of anything a lot of the time, except
Right.
sort of awkwardly interact with Sonic for the most part. They had like a really awesome moment in issue 75. So finally seeing one of them do something like heroic again directly is kind of nice.
It is nice. And I think it makes more sense for it to be Jules, since he's the one who's roboticized.
uh,
Right,
well,
yeah.
and frankly, he's the more developed of the two.
He is. We haven't really seen that much from Sonic's mom.
Yeah, it's mostly just she seems nice. Um,
Yeah, she seems like a nice mom.
my main my main complaint is that Jules gets drilled in the chest. There should be bits of chili dog flying around from that.
That is true, there should be, but people might
Oh.
actually think that's kind of gross.
I mean, it would be, and that's why they didn't do it, or they didn't even think about it, probably. But no, that would add like an unintentional layer of dark comedy. But
A little bit, yeah.
yeah, so Sonic gets real upset and he spin dashes fake Tommy in half. But yeah, Jules is mortally wounded by this, and so we have this whole sequence play out where Sonic rushes his dad to Chuck's, and Chuck's like, "I'm sorry, but I can't save him." And then Sonic does a big no.
I really like the bit where Sonic is like, please repair him, Chuck. He's just a robot. You're great at that, right? And Chuck is like, well, yeah, I mean, I could fix the circuits, but it wouldn't bring back the spark of life that
Right.
makes him a Robian. And that is fascinating.
Well, I like that, because to me, that really shows they're not just robots. There's definitely something in there that makes them who they are.
Yeah,
It's not
well,
just like an AI.
and there's an
Yeah.
interesting horror connotation to that, which is that if some Robian did die somehow, and then a person was like, "No, I can't do that," and then they fixed them, they would be back just as a mindless machine.
Right.
Yes, it would probably revert them to the way, like, Robotnik preferred them.
Right, which is just the mindless slaves.
Yeah, except then the Sword of Acorns wouldn't work because it can't bring you back to life. As
Right.
far as I know, they've added a lot of powers to that fucking.
Don't worry, I'm really hoping that sword is fucking gone.
Yeah, but frankly, we might as well be able to bring people back to life because that's basically what happens here. Because Sonic does his
I'll
big
give it more to
milking,
this explanation.
and then he runs and grabs a ring, and just kind of saves him with that.
I will take this explanation more than the Sword of Acorn, because the rings have already been shown before to do
Wish magic.
basically whatever they're needed to do. I don't like it, but I'll accept it because this is established already.
There's precedent, but it's dumb. Like, what's the point?
No, it is dumb. I agree. But at least they're using something with precedent, because there's no reason the sword should have been able to do all the shit that it did.
I'm gonna be honest. I actually would prefer the sword because rings are easily accessible like this, whereas the sword is like an ancient artifact that gets stolen because it's so powerful and stuff.
I don't know. I guess the rings only show up once a day at least.
Yeah, but
he just goes and picks it up and wins instantly, easy peasy.
Yeah, well, so the thing is that the sword we had do a bunch of crazy shit at once. Rings are much more occasional, but they're also, overtly less valuable. And it makes you ask the question of, couldn't they just do this all the fucking time?
Right.
I mean, the answer to that is probably yes, they could.
If you can wish jewels back to life, what can a ring not do? And they've never established anything like that. At least
they've effectively
they don't want to commit to limits, so they can do stuff like this.
Yeah, they've not limited the rings to basically anything.
Yeah,
the rings are the ultimate plot device for these comics.
Yeah,
or at least between in times where the sword isn't accessible, at least.
Or Chaos Emeralds.
I'll accept Chaos Emeralds more though, because Chaos Emeralds generally you have to go through some degree of trouble to get.
Sure.
Yeah. And Chaos Emeralds have been shown to bring people back to life even in the video games, so...
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But this bothers me more from just a story layout standpoint, because, like, they have this build-up, they make it all dramatic, that the Jules dies, and then they just don't resolve it in any interesting way. Like, I don't really care if it was a MacGuffin or whatever, but you get, like, one page where Jules is dead, quote-unquote, well, or at least you think he's permanently dead anyway, because that's after Chuck says it, and then he's just back to life on the next page.
Yeah, and then we immediately resolve it. Well, it's like Sonic uses the ring to bring him back to life, but then we just hard cut away from that. We don't even see what his interactional reaction with his dad is.
Right, we don't... Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest complaint.
It's like, I could almost take a cop-out resurrection if you were doing a father-son story about what these characters mean to each other, but they're not doing that.
Right.
Well, it's weird, because you almost have that moment with Chuck, but why do you do it with Chuck instead of Jules? I mean, I know Chuck is so cool. It's true. It makes sense.
Or have Jules there
I get why
as
they wanted to do it. But no. Yeah, you could have had both characters. That's true.
Right. I mean, just have, they both are going to have some level of knowledge about robotics, so have them both disassembling the Tommy robot.
Yeah.
Well, the story is really more interested in the whole Tommy arc here.
Yeah.
The other stuff is just filler, because that is what they end on is, oh, wow.
I mean,
Robotnik's
at that point, then
copies.
why not just use some character that isn't Jules? But I guess then Sonic doesn't have the motivation... The relevant motivation, to save them. He would still, because the writers need him to.
Yeah, but I think Lauren is totally right that the actual purpose of this issue is to turn it, along with the last issue from last week and the next issue, retroactively into the Tommy Trilogy, which is what they start calling it in the next one.
Jesus. It's funny, I didn't even catch that, so I just thought the next one is the beginning of an entire trilogy.
Yeah, well, they don't mention it in the preceding two issues, which is why.
That's so stupid.
And yeah, this is 3 times now that Tommy has been secretly alive somewhere else.
Oh my god.
And not once has he displayed much character. to say nothing of his very generic design. Anyway,
I didn't mind him in his introduction, actually.
He was fine in the
He was
introduction
intriguing in his
story.
introduction, but they have not done anything with him after that.
I don't care about it once, yeah. But first we have Sonic and Company as boring adults with boring children. This is Mobius 25 years later, girl talk, because you really want to see that from Penders. But yeah, this is while Julie Sue and her maid make dinner or whatever, everyone talks to them about a bunch of catching up on more details, I guess. It's a lot of
It's
stuff.
just details. It's just details after details. Give us something important. Jesus Christ.
I think that Penders is just so enthralled by the idea of kids being like, this is what Sonic is like in the future, that like he thinks that's all you need to make a story, because there's so nothing here.
I mean, this 25 years later shit is just going nowhere.
I think it's just that they need to have momentum and not be suck, which is what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we basically get two full pages of Sally and Julie Sue over-explaining how rough it is being adult mothers, wives, whatever, instead of the cool action girls they used to be that we liked. There's this sort of irrelevant hand-wringing and this hilarious moment where Sally holds her and Sonic's wedding photo directly up to the camera.
I hate this image so much.
It's
Sonic is so terrifying with a normal human body.
That's hilarious, and I just find the idea of her putting it up to the screen funny, because it's like, it's clearly for the audience's benefit, because like,
Right,
I'm
it's
sure
not for
Julie Sue was
Julie.
at the wedding.
I don't even think Julie Sue's actually looking at the screen right now. I think she's busy doing other things.
Yeah, she's busy making dinner with Abby, her maid?
Abby, the housemaid, who is a very disturbingly realistic koala.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Why doesn't she look like... Because we have other koalas in this story, she doesn't look like Barbie.
That's true!
Hmm.
Huh, okay.
Moving along, I'm going to touch on a detail that interested me. Sally talks about how she hasn't actually ruled the entire time that she was married, because apparently King Max didn't step down from the throne for 2 years.
That sounds about right.
Which is... Now, I want to hear more about that. Why'd you brush over that detail? It sounds like he threw a fit or something again. I have to imagine that's what happened.
I would love to see...
Knowing Max, I feel like it would take him fucking dying for them to finally get power.
Seriously.
Yeah, well, that's 2 years of them, like, in constant fights with him, I betcha.
Jeez.
Maybe literal fights, you know, maybe he picks up a fucking
total
sword.
Power struggle.
Oh my gosh.
There's an internal power struggle within the Knothole Kingdom.
Yeah. Sally's whole family seems to hate being royalty. Because she says that about both her son and daughter and Sonic, frankly.
Well, obviously Sonic.
Well, yeah, Sonic, of course, wouldn't like it. Sally barely even seems to like being royalty.
Which is just funny, because this is still supposed to be the utopian future.
Now it's the utopian future where everyone is miserable.
Who said it was the utopian future?
It's the visual language of it all. It's the atmosphere that Ken is trying to build. Like, the things that Ken is supposed to view as creating conflict are the dimensional warping thing, and Sonic having some kind of fallout with Knuckles, and Sonic seemingly not talking to Tails much anymore. I don't know if it's this issue. We get more on that. Like, it's meant to be that, like, the personal issues and the universe collapsing are the problem, but this is not supposed to be any kind of dystopia as far as I'm aware.
Okay, maybe that's the way you see it. I don't think it's a dystopia, because no, it's not. But I don't think it's perfect either. I don't think it's a utopia either. Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious not everything is perfect. It's just better than it was, because there are no mad scientists trying to enslave everyone.
I mean, I guess. Yeah. Ken feels so all or nothing, I guess, it may be me projecting a little bit on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Knuckles hates being Guardian, Laratsu hates not being Guardian, we've already established that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Leon Daw joins in on the group call.
I am majorly disappointed. I was so thinking that these two were gonna start like getting at each other, but no.
No,
Apparently,
everyone's just on good terms.
yeah, they're just on good terms. Like
What
what?
the fuck?
Seriously? No
You
way.
know,
Literally, the first thing that Leonda said when we first saw her last week was, "My sister and I aren't exactly on good terms, but she's just inviting her to the fucking dinner party."
right?
Yeah. Why? Why? Huh? You can't just say, "Oh, yeah, this is how things are," without any explanation. And in fact, you seem to imply that this is not the way things are. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I need them to hate each other, but I want to know how we got to this point.
Sure. I think
Exactly.
that's the biggest problem. We're not getting any explanation
Wait,
to this point.
are we learning
Well,
that it is in fact the journey and not the destination?
Oh wow, what a thought.
man, I'm not even enjoying the journey so far.
It's because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, no, here's the thing. We missed the journey. We're already at the destination.
Uh-huh.
Well, and
We're now going back and learning about the journey, but we're not experiencing the journey.
no, the only thing that we have writing on this is the dimensional collapsing, and it gets sidelined to talk about the fucking dinner party.
Yeah, we
Like,
introduced something that's genuinely interesting.
Does Leon even bring it up?
No.
Well, I don't think she wants to let on that she knows.
I don't. Yeah, she doesn't want to let on that she knows. I think the only people who really know right now are two mad scientists and Knuckles.
Yeah, Sally actually even says that she asked Rotor about what's going on with the weather, and he lied to her.
Right.
So yeah, it's one of those. It's a hallmark of, I think, bad writing, where you have a scene that consists entirely of characters saying what they're going to do in the next scene.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And well, we get exactly the kind of ending you expect for that, which is just that Laura Sue says escargot is gross.
Wow.
It's all right though, because we're back to 3 stories per issue. Aren't you excited?
No, a bit much, I think we've established.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Patience, Romy Chacon and Ron Lim, where well, frankly, this is a throwback to classic Knuckles stories because he's just kind of walking around and talking to himself.
Oh my gosh, you're right. But it's
Yeah.
not written by Penders.
No.
We
This
can't
is
avoid Knuckles wandering around.
a story where Knuckles really wants to just disobey orders and go liberate Angel Island on his own, but he then doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really wants to,
He'd love
But-
to.
but he does it for some unfathomable reason.
Well, it's because that would be a bad idea, and thankfully Knuckles
Right.
is slightly smarter than that, but it's like, what's the point then? Just to let us know that he cares about his home?
Okay, here's the thing. If he gets so far as to time the going over to when the island is close enough to glide to it, or not glide to it even, he can't glide, to jump to it, and then he jumps to it, grabs on, and then just, or maybe he doesn't actually. Okay, he imagines jumping and grabbing on. He stands right next to it, but then he just doesn't. It's just weird that he goes that far and then decides not to.
Well,
Yeah.
and he decides against it essentially because he remembers that his dad trusts Max, which
Oh, that's a really dumb explanation too.
That's a really dumb explanation.
I can't say it's entirely out of character for this Knuckles, but
Well, no.
I don't like it, and I've been liking the Knuckles we've been getting in the past few issues because Carl Ballard seems to understand him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, bad issue on the whole. There's like a couple interesting Jules moments, but that's it.
Yeah, there's the Jules story, despite still not being good, is the most interesting part.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because the Penders one is regular Penders,
Right.
and what is even the point of the Knuckles one? What does this do? If you skip this, I would never know.
Just give us more of the other two stories.
Well,
Yeah,
this is, I
like,
think,
did
another
they run out of,
reason-
like, they couldn't write anymore? The Jules one seemed rushed. That could have used more.
It
Yeah.
definitely could have.
I think this is another reason that people speculate that Romy Chacon is Justin Gabri, is because an editor's job on the series is to get issues to be complete. And so if that means writing a complete filler story like that, that may have
Right.
been, you know. Anyway, let's move on to Sonic
Awesome.
137. this issue is also not great, but hey, look at that cover.
Not a bad cover.
This is a
Yeah.
period where Spaziant deliberately tries to emulate Yuji Uekawa's style for his covers, and I think it's a really good effort.
Yeah, no, it looks like it could definitely be official art.
Doesn't
Neat.
do much for Tommy, but
Well, yeah, Tommy's a bit of a lost cause here, but it makes all the original characters actually look like they wouldn't be out of place in a game.
yeah. But we get a very small look at this just one little vignette of Axer art on the title page with a auto-automaton Sonic, and he is so scary.
That looks fucking rad.
So here's the other reason that I got thrown off by you calling them auto-automatons. It's because they're called infiltrators here, which is just spoiled right here on the inside cover, by the way. It's a weird choice. They talk about it like it's already been established, but it hasn't, really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not
Mm.
exactly the same things necessarily, but they might as well be.
But these are more devious because they're made by Eggman, not Robotnik.
Mm.
Anywho, this is the Tommy Trilogy Part 3, apparently. Robodyne Systems, written by Romy Chacon and drawn by Stephen Butler. The freedom fighters journey to New Megaopolis in hopes of saving Tommy and learning more about the infiltrator robots. And, well, you know, a hallmark of Chacon's writing is that it's out of order, and so we went from that story, which was set before they deroboticized everyone and had to hastily rewrite, to this story, which is clearly written before Sonic and Sally broke up.
Oh,
Okay, I should
I
have
was
guessed
wondering
that,
about that. Yeah.
because I have a note of, oh wow, they're just working together again already.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
meant nothing, I guess. Sonic even mentions as much, but I guess that's just the writers trying to explain how
Right.
it possibly works.
Right.
Why is it still a problem? Why are they still having problems with things being out of order here? Why? Like,
That's a
I
really
get
good
screwing that up
question.
once. This is like the third time they've done it.
I mean, I think out of all of them, this is maybe less noticeable because the King and Queen haven't even left yet, so Sally would not necessarily give up her job just because of Sonic, but it's not much, and it's still weird and bad, so...
Yeah.
Definitely weird.
And as to why, I think that, again, Justin Capri's just not good at his job, and it's just like, yeah, fuck it, the kids will accept anything.
I see.
But yeah, the rest of this comic is a pretty conventional Robotropolis mission. I do love this first shot of New Megaopolis and how gargantuan it is even compared to Robotropolis. Because you have skyscrapers built on top of the ruins of other skyscrapers, which gives you a sense
Right.
of perspective. Now,
Oh,
why
I
he
didn't
needs
notice
all this,
that.
I'm not sure, but...
I don't get why Eggman feels the need to build an entire city when I'm guessing he barely leaves one building.
I mean, that's always been the case.
So Robotnik, I think it made sense because Robotropolis was just a Mobotropolis after it had been taken over.
It was a symbol, yeah.
Right. Now, he could just have a large, like, base compound and be good.
I think that Eggman gave up on Mobotropolis. He was like, fine, whatever. It's irradiated. That's
Right.
honestly just as good. Like, goodbye to your city forever. And so instead, he's like, well, I still have to have a big city that insults somebody. I'll insult the old Overlanders then. This
Yeah,
time.
that's true, because it's built out of their city, so...
Fair, yeah. It's built off of old Megapolis.
Of course,
Fair
I
enough,
guess
yeah.
only Hope would really notice that, and Hope doesn't exist in these comics apparently.
She's only exists when she's convenient.
Yeah, which is next week, I think.
Oh, okay.
And that's not a good
But
convenience,
finally,
unfortunately.
oh, never mind. Darn
Oh,
it.
okay.
No, you guys are actually gonna fucking hate those comics, probably.
Oh boy, I can only be excited.
Anyway, so they make it into Megaopolis, and it's, well, like I said, very conventional. We get SWAT bots. We get not they say they're infiltrators without their fake skin or furs. Those are very clearly Robians. It is entirely possible. I don't think this story would have been written before the deroboticization. Everyone has their updated design, so that shouldn't be the case.
Right.
But on the other hand, Rotor is on this mission, and he's supposed to not be on active duty anymore.
Yeah, true.
I think these are Robians, but this time I didn't even notice it at all. So this was a better explanation. Because they've already established this with, like, Mecha anyway, so I'll accept that.
They explicitly say that they're infiltrators, but they are clearly drawn as Robians, so...
Right.
Maybe it's just, yeah, the drawing.
Yeah, but they get... There's a lot in here, but there's just not a lot that I can really say about before they start getting attacked by the fake... Like they get attacked by a fake Sonic, which gets beheaded.
So, I will say there is a bit of fighting here between Sonic and Sally, actually. So, maybe it's not entirely inconsistent with what was pre-established. The thing is, it just doesn't last very long, because they get cut off by the action, which, I mean, good. Yeah, there is a fake Sonic, but I like the way that it's introduced, because it's a cut between Sonic and then the fake Sonic. And so, for a minute, I was like, what's going on? Because it intentionally confuses you by the way the panels are put together.
Yeah, there's also a fake Sally that Bunny obliterates by vaporizing with her feet. I guess her jets are just that strong.
That makes enough sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
And, well, they find Tommy and just kind of got to get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're there.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot... It's very, very conventional.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I mean, it's just a bunch of action, and that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, I suppose it could have been worse, but there's no reason to call this the Tommy trilogy. He's such a non-entity in it.
He's barely even in this story.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I thought it was just the trilogy of rescuing Tommy, because that was the whole point in the first story, but then he died, supposedly. And the second story, they thought he was rescuing him, no. And now they actually did for real, so it made enough sense to me. I mean, yeah, Tommy doesn't do anything, it's just, Tommy's just a damsel in distress, that's all.
Right.
Well, honestly, it is possible we'll have more to say about the Mobius 25 Years Later story for this one.
Very possible.
Which is called Trouble in Paradise, Penders and Butler. As Sonic's family heads toward Angel Island, Knuckles and Sonic both express doubts about their current situation. And yeah, in this story called Mobius 25 Years Later, I guess it's not called Sonic 25 Years Later, but this is the first time we're actually seeing Sonic.
That's true. I mean...
I honestly didn't expect to see Sonic, because I just didn't think Penders cared.
Well, I mean, clearly this is, Penders wanted to fulfill his vision of Knuckles 20 years later.
Right.
And the past few issues have implied they're not close, and Sonic overtly says that he doesn't really want to see Knuckles.
Right.
But, we harken back to the original Knuckles miniseries, and that we have two separate plot lines happening side by side in the panels. Isn't that fun? Question mark.
Oh, it's fun.
It's an interesting idea.
I guess it forces Penders to kind of pace something, so...
Yeah.
I'll say this, I truly hate Sonic's son, Manic.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty annoying for the most part in these stories.
It's like all of Sonic's, hipster slang has been put on him, and he's visually just almost identical to his father.
He's just Sonic with a fucking tooth gap.
And gold-plated sneakers.
He's royalty. He's gotta flex his money.
He's written to be an intentionally annoying child, but he's supposed to be 14. Right. I don't remember acting like this at 14. I mean, I was dick shit at 14, but...
There are some 14-year-olds that do act this way.
Yeah, there definitely are.
The environment that you're raised in, and it's pretty clear that none of the heroes make good parents in these stories.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Because Sonic is too busy whining about how he doesn't want to be king, which... wait a second. You got all the way to being crowned, and you're still whining about not being... How did you go this far? What happened? Once again, I want to know.
Well, and
it seems like he was coerced into it.
It's been probably at least 16 years at the absolute least, because, Sonic and Sally got married, and then 2 years later, he got the crown.
Right.
And I can't imagine that Ken Penders would ever write two characters as having a child out of wedlock.
True.
So that means that there's a minimum of 16 years that Sonic has been king. So it's like
Uh-huh.
you made it all that time, yeah, like you said, and it apparently it's just now that you're like, man, I don't like that. Like, if you don't want to be king, just don't be king. Like, what's the big deal,
Yeah,
honestly?
I don't get it. It makes no sense.
And frankly, it seems like Sally does most of the work anyway.
Yeah.
That's true, but well, yeah, once again, it doesn't make much sense if I don't understand how you got into this situation in the first place. It's pretty clear that Ken was like, "Oh, yeah, the characters are the king and queen now, great, but they'll still act like they always have."
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
despite being adults and being more boring, they don't feel like grown up.
Hmm.
Yeah, basically it's just the two of them being like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," even though their wives want to do it. Uh,
Yeah, that's the structure.
Yeah, pretty much.
but again, this is another story that has a number of pages and a ton of dialogue, but nothing to say.
Yeah.
The end blurb tells us to stay tuned for My Dinner with Sonic, because a My Dinner with Andre reference is what all the kids are really into these days.
Definitely.
I'm just gonna move on if that's alright.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
think, yeah.
Alright, let's talk about this third story, which is utterly
Uh.
hilarious to me who knows how this plotline goes. This is
Oh,
one
boy.
part ooh la la, two parts treachery, Romy Chacon and new artist, kind of bad artist, Al Bigley, wherein Antoine recalls a story from happier times.
First of all, that title will be familiar to anyone with a good memory. If you're recalling way back in Super Special number 7, that is the exact line that Antoine used when describing some untold tale according to an editor's notes. Here's the untold tale. I can't believe they
Oh.
followed up on that after so long.
Wow. Yeah.
He says one part ooh la la, two parts treachery. Weird fucking line, by the way. He says it about Particle, I think.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Legendary main character Particle.
Yep.
And yeah, there's a little editor's blurb that says that's a story for another time, and now is another time. And again, more evidence that this might be Justin Gabri, because he's the one who put that editor's note there, and I have absolutely no reason to assume that Ken Penders would have anything about that line other than Antoine being weird.
Sure.
So
100%
if
that's what it was.
Chacon wrote this, that might be a smoking gun. I can't say it for certain, and I don't want to open myself up to legal threats by saying I know that's true, but certainly evidence. But yes,
Yeah.
okay, Antoine. We start on him acting, a little bit more like you'd expect Antoine to act, because it's a flashback.
Yeah, I got confused for a second, and then I
Right.
realized, oh wait, I guess this takes place in the past. But hey, if that's what it takes, I'm glad. I'm glad to have old Antoine back, just for a little bit. He's not the butt of jokes. He's just acting a little foolish, which is
Right.
kind of the Antoine I like.
Yeah, I don't mind Antoine being cool and also a dork.
Sure.
Exactly.
And
Well, that fits Antoine.
yeah, so this is him, recounting a story as he reads this old letter from Bunny, and it's this time that he was avoiding his girlfriend because some girl he used to like as a kid, but was embarrassed in front of by Sonic, is coming to town, and he didn't want her to get jealous, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, it's just Antoine's being a little awkward here.
Right.
That's pretty much the story, and he goes about it in a kind of ridiculous way because he's just like, "Oh, a bunny! Hey, look, what's that over there?" And then he just runs away.
Ah, the old Back to the Future gambit. Yeah,
I love the line also when he's like, "Oh, I think I lost her. I'm better at this than I thought." That's just a perfect Antoine line.
yeah. Well, and of course he didn't.
Exactly.
Of
That's
course.
that's the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and this whole scene where he recounts why he's been running away, because what's her name, Tatiana, his first love that Sonic messed with him in front of, which I think is good because that recounts how Sonic used to be such a dick to Antoine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Truly a hideous drawing of Sonic here, though. Al Bigley is an uncomfortable artist.
So yeah, you're right that Sonic is actually pretty bad. I actually don't dislike his art a lot of the time, though. I especially think the first few pages are not bad.
The first
I
few
think they
pages
actually
look
look
mostly
interesting.
fine.
But yeah, later on,
It
it gets
starts
a little
falling
strange.
apart.
I guess it's yeah, like sometimes like Ron Lim's art can be a little boring to look at, and this is not visually flat, but it is broken in a lot of places. And actually, I think one of these Sonic drawings is actually Bigley redrawing the bad-looking Sonic from the Elias issue, the one that I redrew myself as well.
Oh yeah,
Seems like that.
yeah, it does look like it.
But yeah, so in this story, the girl came back directly after Antoine told her what was up, and then he was like, "Actually, I love Bunny," and just walk away.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's Antoine being like, "Oh no, this is going to be a terrible thing. What am I going to do?" And then he finally realizes, "Wait, I'm making this overly complicated," and then he just figures it out, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And that would be a great story to reaffirm the best couple in the series, if not for the fact that it's a flashback, and in the present they're broken up. And he
Right.
rips
Darn
up
it.
Bunny's letter.
God damn it!
Almost forgot about that. Wish the writer forgot about that.
They kind of will. Don't worry about it.
I know eventually.
But yes, this story is funny because it's fundamentally broken with how the plotline will play out for reasons that I still cannot reveal, but is very funny.
Oh boy!
All right, again.
But it's fine. It's all okay. We're gonna be okay because we are at Sonic number 138, the first part of Return to Angel Island. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. This is one of my favorite arcs in the series, and definitely my favorite arc of almost anything before Flynn shows up. This is essentially Baller's magnum opus on the series, and sadly it is one of the last things that he wrote for it.
Right. Oh boy.
Yes, we are taking on all of Penders' ideas for the Knuckles characters and lore with the power of a writer who actually has some kind of direction. And
Heck yeah. What an amazing power.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Sonic Heroes poses on the cover. We've got this, great Axer group shot on the title page. And, in fact, we've got a new editor, which might be part of this. The editor is now Mike Pellerito, but I think it's misspelled as Pellerico on this title page. It's actually just an especially curvy letter T. But he would go on to hire people like Ian Flynn and Tracy Yardley, and is generally considered better than Gabri.
Alright.
That's not necessarily the last we're seeing of Gabri, and it's certainly not a ringing endorsement of Pellerito that some terrible moments in the series still come under his watch.
Sure.
But this is a good change. It's going to be very good in the long run.
Alrighty.
But we're starting here with The Message, written by Carl Ballers and drawn by John Gray. Hell yeah.
Oh, heck yes.
Heck yeah.
When an injured Charmy Bee informs Knothole of just how bad the situation is on Angel Island, Knuckles takes a team of heroes to save his father and reclaim the island from Dr. Eggman. So, you can really tell that Ballers wrote this right after the breakup issue.
Right.
Yep.
Because we start on the cause of the breakup and the result of the breakup. Which is to say, Max screams at Sally, and only because of that does Sally scream at Sonic, because fuck Max. As usual. Not that any of this is new. I feel like a broken record with how many times we've brought that up.
It's worth repeating because
It is.
we have to know that they still haven't fixed him. He's still a terrible character.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they
For
keep
all this
doing
time,
we have a right to keep being annoyed by it.
Right.
But yes, the King and Queen are finally setting out on their vacation, and, well, just look at all these Sonic references on their luggage. Look at the chow.
yes, this is amazing. It's surprising that they're throwing in all these references now, but yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
And they're taking Antoine with them, I might add, which, not that I necessarily want...
Before.
Well, we knew they were bringing Antoine.
Yeah, but they're all going, so we're not going to see Antoine for a little bit. And
we're also bringing Chuck for some reason.
Which is weird, right? Because
Yeah.
A, Chuck is mostly just a tech guy, and B,
Right.
we immediately cut to everybody at Uncle Chuck's Chili Dog Diner.
I didn't know that place still existed.
I'm
I don't
guessing
think
he reopened it.
Yeah, I think he reopened it during a time skip.
Oh, that makes sense. Because I was really confused here. I was like, did someone just think that this still was a thing? No, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and we get this big, creative crowd shot with, I don't know why SBO and Vector are fighting, but, I like Amy and Hope, like, egging them on and cheering.
Vector is he gets angry pretty easily.
He
I can see
does.
that happening.
Yeah. I also like Sonic teasing Knuckles for not really having any powers here.
Yeah. I once again like this. This is the sort of more friendly teasing.
The friendly teasing, exactly.
That I like
this is
these
just
two.
this is just how friends talk to each other.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dick, but it's nothing personal.
Right.
But those festivities are ruined when Charmy B stumbles in, back from all of his not really being much of a character, and he's brought Saffron with him, who has a completely different design than she used to.
Good, I guess.
It is good. Their other design looked bad. But they're both injured because Eggman has completely destroyed Golden Hive Colony, which was, I guess, the last remaining civil center on Angel Island, perhaps?
Probably. Kind of
Probably?
I would like to point out that in the image of Golden Hive being destroyed, those are none other than egg pawns.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah.
Flyers. There's going to be Sonic Heroes and a little bit of Adventure 2 imagery all over this thing.
Okay.
Which is good. I like seeing stuff from the games in there.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, so Charmy and Saffron are in bad shape, and Knuckles also gets a message saying that Locke is captured.
Oh, wow. Oh, so sad.
Listen, if you ever saw this from Pendas, Knuckles he'd be like in a state of quiet confidence and say, "The father I once knew to be a hero so grand, to find that he's been captured under our collective noses in a manner such as this is truly shaking. Nonetheless, we shall press on and bring him to safety." Ballers doesn't do that. Knuckles is fired up and he says, "I am out of patience. We are saving my dad."
Right.
And
okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, I'm just saying, whatever. I don't care. Locke can go die.
Yeah, no, fuck Locke.
Well,
but,
sure, yeah.
But yeah, we're going on this trip. We're taking the jet, and I'm really happy to have this. It's Sonic and the Chaotix. He's got basically no freedom fighters with him.
Right.
Bunny, I guess.
Well, Bunny's just flying.
Yeah. I will say this page on the jet is kind of weird because I'm wondering what the hell is going on in the background. I guess Mighty is asleep because his mouth is open and he's drooling. But then SBO is, like, grabbing him on the next panel?
Maybe he's snoring, I don't know.
I guess. Also, Charmy is actually got Righteous Fury, too, which is funny, because we don't really see that from him very much.
I mean, makes enough sense.
Yeah. But they land in honest-to-God Marble Garden Zone, a real Sonic location.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was great.
And, creatively, the fact that Knuckles doesn't have his powers is a good excuse to give him his Sonic Adventure 2 upgrades for this mission.
Didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Now, I'm remembering that what his SA2 upgrades do are let him dig in the ground, wear sunglasses to see things, and breathe underwater, which do not come up in this story at all, but it's still funny.
Look, it looks cool, so you can't complain.
But what they find is not pretty. It is a prison camp run by a coalition of Eggmen and an offshoot of it. I want to make clear this is not all of them, but an offshoot of the Dingo Army.
Okay, that makes more sense. That would just be an offshoot of them.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Like, I can totally see Eggman doing this.
Oh yeah.
He comes over. And Eggman likes to screw with things. He doesn't like to just take over. He comes over.
He's gonna find someone to work with him.
Yeah, he sees what's going on. He's like, "Oh ho, I know what I'll do. Let's make the sort of violent oppressed into the oppressors. And yeah, the dingoes being used as puppets in the plan so that they can feel like, you know, they're getting their comeuppance or whatever. Yeah, this is devious, and this is a very logical development.
And given how inactive and shitty Echidnaopolis was to them the entire time, it makes sense that some of them would be willing to work with Eggman because they've been spurned. And importantly, Helmut von Stryker is not one of them. He isn't in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
But
which is kind of strange, but I'll touch
on
more on that later.
It is a little strange, but I think whatever.
I disagree because I think that von Stryker is among the more principled of them. So it would make sense that he wouldn't want part of this. Not that he's got a lot of deep character, but anywho. So we get a big battle here between Knuckles' team and the Dingoes to save all these echidnas. And, well, frankly, it's a little hard to follow just because of how many characters Gray crams full the page of, but I don't dislike it.
No, I can accept it because it looks cool.
I also like that the Dingoes have new Eggman Empire uniforms that are not Nazi uniforms. They're just, you know, cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're redesigning all the characters, and yeah, I approve.
Yeah. Knuckles is struggling, unfortunately, though, because he's not used to lacking so much strength.
Right.
Which is what sets up the hilarious and slightly tragic dichotomy of this arc. Ooh. Which is that after they save the echidnas, they all bow down to Knuckles, because far as they know, he's still Gruckles.
Oh boy, they've created a religion.
Yep, they revere him as the Echidna Messiah, but he can't do anything. We even get dirty homeless Remington, who is all screwed up and is totally converted, totally indoctrinated.
Oh boy.
I like this. I love it when obviously these writers are taking Penders' concepts and doing different things with them. But instead of doing the easy thing, which is just forgetting all the stupid stuff and then rewriting things, they're acknowledging the stupid stuff, yes, and doing something interesting with it. And yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Echidnas needed to hold on to something. And
so they hold on to Knuckles being a god.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is, you know, that was such a prominent theme of Penders' work. And so not only is Ballard's picking up on that, he's twisting the knife by having Knuckles be praised for the power and confidence he doesn't have.
Also, this is extremely important. We get confirmation that Knuckles' body is actually still not there rotting in his casket.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that when we did the issue. But yeah, and wouldn't you know it? Penders fucking hates this story. He calls it a hissy fit made to undermine him.
That's fucking hilarious.
Which is something that suggests to me, because clearly this is written to be a fun, good story, and that's why I always thought that the quote-unquote rivalry between Penders and Ballers was very one-sided.
Yeah, that's definitely very true.
Anywho, so Remington explains exactly how bad things got under Dingo Prison and how Echidnaopolis is basically just gone. There's basically nothing left of it. And Knuckles is, you know, obviously dejected because he can't help these people as much as he wants to. But after that, we finally get to see what's up with Locke, who is being held by Cage von Stryker, son of Helmut.
Do they say that here?
Well, I think they do call him von Stryker. No, they call him General Cage.
Okay.
I think you've spoiled that.
Yeah. Okay. I thought they did say that.
Yeah, I don't think they do it. It's revealed later, but not here.
All right. It's not that big a deal, but
it's not.
Let's talk about Locke. He finally has a proper redesign.
Yeah, he's not just walking around in a white lab coat.
Which is really more of a bathrobe. But yeah, he's got some traditional Knuckles Clan attire. He's got the head stripes like Pachacomic.
Yeah, he looks like he actually belongs.
Yeah. And Eggman has been trying to find the Master Emerald, but it's been well hidden, so he's been basically just having Cage torture the information out of Locke. Or trying to.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I don't know what Cage's deal here is, but I kind of think that perhaps Eggman is responsible for the fact that he's a cyborg. And
Oh, I
if
would
that's
assume so.
true, that's a neat callback. Like he's doing cyborg again. That was like what he tried to do first.
Right.
with
Maybe,
Monkey Khan.
Right.
right. Maybe Cage was one of his first new attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe also because he's part cyborg, he has some level of control over him.
Well, he seems to be acting independently.
He does seem to be, but he's still taking commands from Eggman.
It's
Right.
probably insurance. It's probably that Eggman could do it, but Cage is a bastard.
I guess
it's
so,
fine.
yeah. He's a
Yeah.
bastard.
Yeah, he doesn't need to.
Yeah, so everybody is hiding out in Lava Reef Zone. Lava Reef exists in these comics.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, what's that over there? Something's coming. And, Dark Legion.
Dark Legion's gotten some upgrades, it looks like.
Yes.
Like, holy shit.
They look so much cooler in this way. And the stylization of the
do.
masks is much more apparent under Gray's pen.
Right.
They still don't say that it's a mask, but you know, I'll just say it's a mask because
you can
then
see texture on some of them now.
because then I can just say it's perfect because that's the only thing that I wish they might have fixed. But otherwise, I love
think
these
just
designs.
Make it clear enough that it's a mask, and I think John Gray's designs make it clear enough.
Well, and there's a couple of them that aren't wearing their hoods and have these
Right.
sick robo cyber
Those
designs.
fucking look awesome.
Well, those have always been the cool parts of the Dark Legion.
That's
so, yeah,
true.
they're definitely taking advantage of what was good.
Yeah.
Yes, it seems like in the chaos, all the old enemies of the Echidnas have taken advantage of the situation.
Yeah. Oh, and I might add, this comic has one foundational thing that would not have ramifications until decades later, which is that Ray got a redesign. He's got a blue coat and blue shoes now.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
this only
yeah.
matters because this design is the reason that he has blue shoes in Sonic Mania.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay.
So that's part one. Really good time and excited to see
Yeah.
more. Unfortunately, there's My Dinner with Sonic in the way.
Tell me more.
Whoops.
Penders and Butler. Knuckles and Sonic's families have dinner together, but relations are a bit more strained than they planned for, especially with a backdrop of planetary devastation. And I am really saying, especially, using that word loosely, because they mostly don't seem to care that much about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so apparently adult Sonic is a recluse who never wants to go anywhere.
Yeah, what the heck? How?
Well, I feel like why would he not want to go anywhere?
That doesn't sound like Sonic at all.
No.
If
No,
he
it really
didn't want to be
doesn't.
King, the one thing he would want to do is use his super speed to run fast places.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And apparently we knew he wasn't on good terms with Knuckles, and this is the issue that mentions that he hasn't even spoken to Tails in years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
For some reason.
That really doesn't seem right.
And speaking of just what? They just casually drop that Tails married Mina and moved to Down Under. What?
Why?
Oh.
That's such a weird decision.
What? I did not even catch that. Like, because Sally says that Tails moved to Down Under, and then I
Right.
saw Mina was there, and I guess Mina's kid, but I didn't put two and two together.
They have two kids. One of them is identical to Tails.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
That seems to be the case with the Freedom Fighters' children. It's just they're identical to them.
And I don't blame you for not noticing, because why would you even make that writing decision? These are two characters that have never interacted.
Yeah, that's such
Absolutely
a weird
bizarre.
writer's interaction.
I'm not sure they've spoken a single word to each other. The only time I can remember them sharing a scene is in the scene when the episode where Mina tries to be a freedom fighter, and part of that is piloting lessons from Tails.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I doubt they would have bonded enough to get married after that.
Well, it's not like they were setting her up
Especially-
with Rotor in the computer programming scene.
Well, because that entire story was about Mina wanting to get with Sonic.
Yeah. So, on the one hand, completely bonkers nonsense writing decision. On the other hand, a character created entirely to facilitate shipping wars being paired off with a completely different person randomly in the 25 years later is an audacious writing choice and very funny.
That is a power move.
I would appreciate it if this was done in the correct way, which is not how these stories are being done, which is you're thrown into the middle of the new situation and gradually you get explanations as to how you got here. But no, they just put this in here for no reason. Like, you could make that interesting, but this is a very minor detail that I didn't even notice, so I think it's not too important.
I'm sure it's not that important.
Yeah. No, most of the story is just taken up by boring family activities, playing water volleyball. Sonic would not want to go in a pool to play volleyball.
He already doesn't like water.
Yeah.
That's true.
So Sonic would be hitting the volleyball from one side of the pool, running to the other side, and hitting it back to himself.
Yeah, he'd be playing volleyball with himself. I mean, we've already seen him play sports by himself.
Sonic way. But no, in the future, Sonic just, like, abuses his child, I guess.
He's trying to drown Manic.
Yeah, he pushes him under.
Damn, no one... So, what we've learned so far is two things. No one should have let Sonic become king, and no one should have let Sonic become a fucking parent.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's not heavily focused on, or at least I wish it wasn't, but Manic is also repeating the fucking young guy who likes girl who is too old for him and not interested plot, except he's creepier than Tails.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because Tails is kind of just awkward, but Manic is overly gung-ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm realizing that when I took that note, I was skipping over the entire actual meal that they have at dinner. That's because I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, is there anything to say about the meal?
Once they sit down to eat, Knuckles is like, all right, well, let's take this chance to, talk and barely tolerate each other. And then Julie Sue is like, how rude. And then Sonic is like, yeah, that's great. That's exactly how the situation is. And it's actually a good moment. I have to actually commend this. Because the two are just teasing each other like they have been in the present. And it feels like an actual interaction between these two.
I would agree with that if we hadn't already seen ample proof or ample writing saying that they just don't like each other anymore.
That's the problem, is that that's not how it goes for the entire other parts of the story.
Right. I mean, I think if you had portrayed them more amicably, like still bickering but not like actively bitter about each other, then it would make sense for Knuckles to be like, yeah, me and Sonic don't exactly get along, and Julie to be like, oh, come on, and Sonic like, no, he's right. Because it's him being affirmative despite the fact being that they don't get along. They also mentioned that there are some weird events that portrayed. Like, Sonic talks about an Overlander uprising last summer, and then Knuckles is like, I was busy with the drone problem, which contributed to that mess. I want to see what these things were. I don't want to just hear about them in retrospect.
Yeah, can we get Mobius, like, fucking... last summer, like 24 years later, where all the interesting stuff seems to be happening, like a year ago.
This is just people sitting around a table eating cake, or Chono? I don't know what that is.
Hey, Chono. I think Chono's a drink, because it's with their desserts.
What? Maybe? What is it that Abby's bringing?
And
it's
I
like
think
a pile
it's...
of sawdust.
I think, based off of the way Knuckles describes it, I think it's alcohol.
Yeah, but what is this on the plate that she's serving?
I don't know. Fucking sawdust? Wait, no, Sally's holding it.
Yeah, I thought it was like maybe it was gelato or something, but then she's holding it in her hand.
Maybe it's really hard gelato.
Some kind of pastry, maybe like a Danish.
Yeah, it's probably just some sort of, like, pastry.
This is the conversation that we have. We don't get to talk about interesting things. Anyway. Yeah, so...
When you have the scene with Laura Sue and Manic and Sonia, it literally looks exactly like Laura Sue and Sonic and Sally.
It does. We have Sonic with his gilded shoes and edgy Sally.
I have to call out this incomprehensible line from Sonic when Knuckles is talking about how the world's gonna end, you'll never see the sun again, and then Sonic is just like, "You're certifiable, you know that? What does that mean?"
Yeah.
That's what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. Oh, Penders. Okay, we can't dwell on it. We can't dwell on it. Yeah, after like 7 comics of bullshit, someone finally tells someone that the planet is going to explode and we need to evacuate.
Wow.
Holy shit. How are we going to evacuate the entire planet?
Well, that's a good question. My question is, what do you mean the planet is exploding? I thought multiverse.
I thought it was the
collapsing.
multiverse. That's a good point. I thought it was the fucking multiverse. But
You have to evacuate the multiverse and go to another multiverse.
oh my god.
Well, and
Also, I kind of thought it was just this universe was being affected.
I did too, actually.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, it's the interdimensional travel that's the problem, which
Right.
would suggest to me that, I don't know, shouldn't that pose a threat to other... I don't know.
It should. Again, as we mentioned, I think last week, why isn't Sonic dealing with this or any of the Zone Cops?
I assume
Yeah, well,
he's
and
dead
just, I
after
don't-
25 years.
I don't get how dimensional
The Zone
instability...
Cops have just been eliminated.
I don't get how dimensional instability threatens the planet and not the universe. Because
Yeah,
the root
one-dimensional
reason-
instability just destroy an entire universe.
Well, and the answer is that this is a story that Ken Penders has wanted to write for a very long time. Because we talked about how Sad AM never got a 3rd season, right? And part of that was that the show got canceled, and Ben Hurst was like, well, what if we did a movie? You know, what if we pitched something like that?
Right.
And Penders called and talked to him and was like, you know, I've been wanting to do something like that too. And apparently, a very, very bad phone call between Penders and somebody else led to the entire idea of this getting canceled. So he essentially screwed over Ben Hurst's project. And it was because Ken Penders wanted in, but he wanted to pitch his Sonic movie, which I believe was called Sonic Armageddon, and revolved around, you guessed it, all of the Sonic people gathering things up and getting off of Mobius because it's going to explode.
Fascinating.
We will maybe at some point look at the original pitch video presentation for that, because it is hilariously bad.
Alright then.
But that's our cliffhanger for Mobius 25 years later. And let's move on to Sonic number 139. Let's get back to the good story. I like this cover.
Yeah.
This cover is good.
I liked it as a kid, and I liked the frontispiece as a kid because the art is good. But they always made me wonder who this Legionnaire in particular is, because I thought he was like an important named character.
Nah, he just looks
It's
cool.
just a Legionnaire. That's just
he's
standard
just a background
Legionnaire.
character. But
Yeah,
it looks
he's
cool as
cool.
shit.
It's one of the types of Legionnaires we saw at the before the fight last issue, and we see at the beginning of the fight here.
Uh-huh.
So, this is Part 2, Avatar, Ballers in Grey. Sonic, Knuckles, and company are briefly attacked by the Dark Legion, only to find out that the situation on Angel Island is more complex than they ever could have known.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we start with this huge, again, awesome, 2-page spread for this scrap between the heroes and the Legion. And I'm wondering how much Sonic has ever even seen the Legion before?
I don't think he's ever seen... No, wait, no, he would have seen them...
He encountered them
He encountered
during
them-
the Mogul
Right.
Dimitri whole
That's,
debacle.
that's what I thought, okay, yeah.
But it's not much.
No.
That's definitely true.
But no, the action is good, and I
Yes.
especially like this detail where Sonic mid-fight is paying attention to Knuckles, and he's seeing just how aggressive Knuckles is because of his connection to the Legion and to his people.
Right.
So it is a good fight, but it fizzles out for a reason that you never could expect, because Lara Leigh and Windmacher show up.
Yeah, and Laura Leigh has a new hairdo.
She does, and she's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, stop fighting, to the Legion, and they listen to her.
Yeah, so, I mean, okay. It's obvious they just wanted some cool action, which, I mean, it was
Fair
cool
enough.
action, to be fair.
Enough.
But this is a little bit of a cop out here. Like,
Yeah.
oh wait, if they had just like talked for a minute, maybe they wouldn't have fought. But I mean, it does make sense. Knuckles was there. He would be like, "Oh, Legion, bad news."
Legion bad, must fight.
Even so, it feels like a little bit of a cheat, but it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I can believe it, especially since they've been under attack this whole time, and none of the people that they rescued know this, which is that since Eggman's takeover, the Dark Legion has essentially served as an underground resistance force, keeping the echidnas safe.
Which, I think that makes enough sense.
I think it is an incredibly interesting dynamic, because they're still bastards. Like, they're still
bastards.
But they are actually helping people, just for impure reasons.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what the Legion would do in this situation. Like, Ballers understands. The Legion have always been trying to justify their ways. And so if they can be like, oh, our technology can save you, and try to win people over, yeah, they'll do it. This is excellent.
Yeah. It also puts Knuckles in an even weirder position, because, you know, he's been trying to mend relations between them and the people, but in that, Knuckles was still the one who had a lot of the power, but now he has none of the power, and the Legion are going to be operating totally independent of him.
That's true. It was Knuckles with his god powers that could put everyone in check.
Right.
And all the other echidnas still sort of look at him that way. Although I find it hilarious that everyone is like almost in a hypnotic, oh, it's the great Avatar state. Even Windmaker here.
Yeah.
But not Knuckles' mom, which is like a throwback to when his mom scolded him when he when they first re-met after he got the powers, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and, you know, it makes sense that Laura Leigh would be like, my son's a god, who gives a shit?
Exactly.
But Knuckles' stepdad bowing down and worshipping him is very funny, and Knuckles is like, fucking stop that.
Yeah.
But yes, they take a magical warp ring to Hidden Palace Zone, which doesn't really look like the game, so that's okay.
No.
I appreciate the nod.
Yeah,
the nod is what's important.
All of the other echidnas have been hiding out, and they have been watched over by
Imperator X!
The obvious inspiration for Ix from Sonic Chronicles, Dr. Finitivus. Hell yeah.
I was looking forward to this dude. I've known about him ever since I heard about the whole background debacle with Sonic Chronicles, and so I've been fascinated about, okay, well, great, what's the inspiration for that character? So yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, he is so cool. He is a creepy motherfucker with an awesome design. Thank you, John Gray. He is a Dark Legion scientist. Actually, he's a former Albion scientist. I don't know if they say that here, but he's partially based off of Dr. Zachary, who is another albino echidna from Sonic the Comic, of all places.
Interesting.
I've heard of him. Also interested to see his deal, too.
Yeah. Well, we've seen John Gray likes Sonic the Comic, so...
True.
Right.
And yeah, he's been kind of the head honcho of at least keeping the administrative side of the Legion in check. But yeah, he's very scary looking, and I love him. I mean, he's you know, a big inspiration on Dr. Starline in IDW, who I also love.
Oh, okay. Yes. I didn't even put that together.
Wow, the finite, however you say that, his legacy it stretches wide, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, especially with what Flynn does with this guy, everybody fucking loves him.
Oh, okay.
But as for the military side of the Legion, he leads them deeper into Hidden Palace, and we see that part is being controlled by Lian Da, who is really in her element. I think she's very happy with this. Oh,
yes. She's very much in her element.
Just one thing after another here. Yes, this is fantastic. Finally, we've got someone else writing Lian Da, who realizes Lian Da... I have always watched this character with interest, because I absolutely love the disgruntled second-in-command who wants to seize all the power for themselves.
Right.
That, you know, waits in the shadows for the perfect moment. The problem is, Penders never is going to have them do anything. They're always just going to keep waiting. So finally, a writer is like, no, screw it. Lian Da gets power. Perfect. Yes, this is exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's great because Knuckles and Julie are clearly not happy with this, because even though Dimitri was still a villain, he was definitely the more rational of the two. And I just
Right.
love how John Gray draws characters looking at each other like they fucking hate each other, which they do.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And yeah, Lian Da also, I'm not sure if it's here or later, she implies that Dimitri is dead. He's
It's
not.
later.
It's later, yeah.
Okay, and it's better for it that he's not dead, but he's not here,
Sure.
certainly, and that's a good thing.
Right.
But yeah, so she shows them to the Master Emerald Chamber, and hey, it's the mural from Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So she also explains that the Brotherhood of Guardians put it down here, fending off Eggman's attack, but they've all disappeared except Locke.
Makes sense that if they
Yeah.
thought they were outmatched, they would go and hide again.
Right,
They're probably
they'd go
watching this
hiding.
whole thing.
Oh, I
Oh,
just
you
didn't
think so?
Probably not, actually, because this is written by ballers. I said that half jokingly.
I
I do think most likely they are hiding, though.
But yeah, so not only is Knuckles powerless, but he's actually drained by proximity to the Master Emerald.
That's a really
that's
interesting
what
one.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's this moment where Lian Da explains that the Legion has been given control of the Master Emerald here. They are watching
Right.
over it, and this is when she mentions because she says,
Dimitri is not with us.
"Yeah, my Legion," and then
Right.
Knuckles is like, "What? Your Legion? What? Wait, where's Dimitri anyway?" And yeah, and then the great line, "My great grandfather is no longer with us. I'm in charge at last."
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Yeah, so Knuckles is about to retort. That's when we find out that the Emerald fucks him up and makes him hurt.
Right.
And Lian Da, she's just having a great day, 'cause she gets to shit on him for that as well. So it's lucky that Knuckles has friends to support him.
Right.
I really would have liked to see this energy from Sonic and Company given to Sally. I think that would have made a lot of her scenes a lot more palatable. But yeah, Knuckles' misery is being played up pretty hard here. There's this scene where this couple shows up hoping that Knuckles can magically cure their daughter's blindness,
Oh.
and he just can't do anything.
Right.
Mhm.
And, you know, he's like all sad. And then Finitibus shows up to scream at them because he's like, "We have cybernetics for you, you fuckers!"
Yeah, this is a good moment in a lot of ways. Yeah, like, first of all, as long as he doesn't stay this way for 10 issues, because if Penders decided to write a plotline like this, he definitely would. I do like
Sure.
the situation that Knuckles has been put in.
Yeah.
And then also, yes, once again, yeah, the Legion is trying to win people over. Be like, yeah, we have technology. Technology is good. You don't have to hate it. Gosh darn it! And when you're doing the Legion right, you should actually make the Legion not just completely evil and they're just pretending like they're good. You should have them, have some reason to them. And yes,
Sure.
cybernetic implants are useful in some circumstances like this.
Yeah. And with Finitibus, you do get the sense that it's like, he does want to help some of these people, even if it is just to get them to do what he wants, but he's so
Right.
bitter because everybody is on the Knuckles train.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will say we do get a little bit of classic Knuckles comics, which is that Julie and Vector get in a squabble that Knuckles has to break up.
So yes,
It is better.
It's better, and I once again appreciate that they don't erase character traits like this. I
Sure.
think it's just a brief little moment, and I think it's fairly justified because before you'd have Vector attack Julie Sue for no reason, but this is specifically because Julie Sue is agreeing with what Funidivus said about about Knuckles not being destined to save everyone.
Right.
He's not the Messiah.
And it's Vector getting angry because she's seemingly siding with what Vector thinks is the enemy. And yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't think the Legion, you shouldn't trust them absolutely in this situation. That's certainly true.
Oh yeah. No, they both have fair sides, and so it's definitely better. I'm just noting that it is that dynamic being brought back up.
Mhm.
Um, but something that Penders would never do happens next, which is that, Knuckles kind of starts shouting his frustrations into the sky on his own, but his mom surprises him with baby.
Guess what? Your baby brother was born because it's been a fucking year.
Yeah, and just having a cliffhanger with something this goofy looking, it warms my heart, It's not something boring or foreboding, it's just funny.
Yeah.
It is
So yeah, Return to Angel Island continues to be fucking stellar.
pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
But now we're looking at Mobius 25 years later, Kill Me Now, Slumber Party, Kill Me Now, Penders and Butler, Kill Me Now. Butler, you don't have to, you're okay. We get to see a teenage slumber party and playing Spin the Bottle.
Is this really
Manic?
the shit we should be focusing on?
No. This bit is written like an exaggerated version of like how Sonic was in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog around
Yeah.
girls, which I didn't like.
I gotta say, I really dislike this koala housemaid Abby. She doesn't do anything wrong, but her thankless dedication to servitude makes their whole family look so fucking bougie. I could not believe for a second that Knuckles would ever agree to have a housemaid. Or Julie Sue,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
Anyway, that doesn't matter, but yes, well, none of this matters, but teenagers playing Spin the Bottle is what the story thinks matters. And yeah, Manic's entire personality in these comics is that he's either annoying or horny, and, so am I, but I don't want to read about it.
Jesus Christ.
Also, some other Echidna girl is here. Was her name Ricky Lay?
Yeah.
She might have been in the school scene, but I don't know. She might just look exactly like the echidnas in the school scene.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. Also, I think that's Salma from last week, right?
That definitely is. Because it's mentioned that is who it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what do you want from me? Manic is trying to get them to play Spin the Bottle. And they're like, no, we do not want to make out with you.
Child.
Yeah, and well, so this ends on Sally and Julie Sue showing up, and they break up the game, and Laura Sue epically owns Manic by saying, "Oh, you want them to join the Spin the Bottle game," which makes Manic freak out and run away. Which I get the joke there, but does that imply that he didn't have a problem with including his sister?
I assume he wouldn't ask his... because Manic says the rules are, do whatever the person who spun the bottle says. Not specifically you have to kiss them.
Yeah, but I mean, there's only one reason that teenagers play Spin the Bottle.
Well, yes, I am aware. I am aware.
The issue here is that the parental figures have emerged. And so he's like, "Oh, never mind. I can't do anything now. Bye."
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably more like it.
Just don't write this in general, maybe.
I mean, maybe just don't write this entire fucking
Don't write
25 years later shit.
In the middle of a Sonic the Hedgehog series, interrupting much better stories.
Yeah, can we just get 10 more pages of Return to Angel Island?
Only.
Yeah. Laura Sue also just randomly rats on Salma for dating Rutan, because I guess she's a narc.
She's just an asshole, apparently.
It seems like that, just a little bit.
Yeah. Instead, they just go for wholesome family fun, playing board games.
Ooh.
Sure. Yeah.
I think part of this is that the only thing that we know about any of these characters are things that we can either extrapolate or project from their younger selves, and we know nothing about the rest of these characters, but we're expected to be amused watching them just fucking eating crackers.
Yeah.
The next scene is Sonic teaching Manic to play billiards.
Though we do get one of my favorite frames in the story of Manic staring at his father from a doorway, and for years seeing this, I thought it was Sonic looking at himself.
Trust nobody,
It
not
doesn't
even
look like
yourself. Yeah.
I'm actually disappointed that it's not just Sonic staring at himself.
Well, because that's one of those, your out of context Archie Sonic Twitter
Right.
account posts, and it's like you're
Because
like, what
most
the hell is
people,
going on?
because let's be honest, most people either haven't read these comics or like have read bits and pieces of them.
Well, nobody should read all of these comics. We're doing that, and it kind of sucks.
Well, no, honestly, you should just follow a fucking reading guide. Like, only read bits and pieces of issues.
It's just skim Bobby's
Yeah.
blog and only read the ones that she likes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, we stretch out the Sonic and Knuckles not liking each other, and then the story ends. Also, I feel like a bunch of teenage girls do not really want their moms talking to them about boys' issues.
Well, remember who's writing this.
Yeah, he's
Uh-huh.
in touch. Anyway, we could have skipped that story and nothing would have been lost.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna
Sonic
be honest,
140.
we've been able to skip most of these 25-year-old stories and nothing would be lost.
Sonic 140, Lock, Dingoes, Green.
Green. It's not Green Knuckles, though, so...
No, it's
Real.
Green Emerald.
Yeah.
Scary Cage on the Axer art.
I love it.
Part 3, last comic for today. How many echidnas does it take to protect a Master Emerald? Just one, but he gets stupider every game.
True.
Oh.
Ballers in
depressing.
Gray. Sonic and the gang get used to their surroundings on Angel Island, while Knuckles has serious doubts about his ability to perform, both as a guardian and the avatar of Echidna Prophecy. That was the best that I could write it without spoiling anything. I love Knuckles' mortified expression at seeing this drooling child.
I like that said child's sounds are all expressed with like cartoony icons in their speech bubble.
Yeah, he's a baby. He can't talk.
Yeah.
I love Lara Lay talking about his name, and this is hilarious. So we've met this guy as an adult in 25 years later, but Pender's like, no, his
Right.
name is Mace. His name is supposed to be Mace. That's what I want his name to be. As a compromise, though, Ballers, being more fun than Pender's, thought it would be cute to call him Kneecaps to pair with Knuckles. And Penders fucking hated that. So we settled on Kneecapion Mace. And then they make fun of how Kneecaps is a silly nickname.
That's great.
It's
Yes.
amazing. And they all laugh at him, and then Knuckles gets pissed off with this fiery panel. Sonic fun. Sonic being fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get more of this instead of these comics being like kind of depressing?
Yeah. So, everyone's hanging out, kinda resting, but Knuckles needs some time to himself. So he kind of heads past everybody to the Master Emerald Chamber. He gets some quality stink eye from Leonda and Finidivus along the way.
It's really funny. You get the impression that Leonda is super satisfied with the situation right now, and she's
Sure.
like, "Oh, Knuckles showed up. I'm sure he wants to speak with me because I'm in control of everything." And Knuckles like, "No, I just want to see the Master Emerald." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
I love that his line is, "I'm not here to see you or Joe Sunshine over there," referring to Finidivus. Okay, Knuckles is just, he's being introspective here. He's talking about how I feel like a failure. Aurora warned me that there would be consequences if I came back to life, but now I suck. I can't perform the way I need to. And Archimedes is behind him, looking randomly extremely evil.
Yeah.
Nobody expects the return of Archimedes all of a sudden.
It's funny because before I read this issue, Devin teased a character returning, and I thought it was this for a bit.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense.
It would have been. I would have honestly been okay with this being the character, but spoilers, it isn't.
Well, I would not have teased it if that were the case, but
No, it's a much more interesting.
and it's just weird. Why does he look so evil?
That's what I want to know. Why does Archimedes look like he's gonna like lunge at Knuckles?
Well, it's
Barely seen him
because
for 100
it's
comics.
because Archimedes is being secretive again. I mean, he's not evil. He's just being a little underhanded here. Like,
Yes?
he doesn't want to do the straightforward way, which is just be a bro with Knuckles like he was for a while. He's fallen back to his old ways,
Yeah.
again, being manipulative. He's like, the Brotherhood's gone. Well, I have to take up the slack, I guess.
I guess so.
So next, we get a video call between Cage and Eggman in New Megalopolis, and look at Eggman's fucking base here. He's got like these giant screen walls, and everything is floating in a black void except for this like
Fuck.
chair.
I want
Yeah,
this as my
rad.
gamer setup.
Also, there's a big old like Eggman building when you look at the city, which is just amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love when Eggman builds himself into his architecture.
On the next page here, you get this super freaky, half-baked artificial Snively in the background.
Yeah,
which is the
this is-
explanation you mentioned.
I didn't even
before.
notice that. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're doing to him, but it looks extremely evil.
Yeah,
Right.
Jesus.
I'm also not sure who that is he's got in the ball powering it. It may not be anyone in particular.
Well, we know. I'm guessing this is our little introduction, or not introduction, but kind of bringing the idea of Eggman using animals for power.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
that's something that we're gonna see more of.
Right.
But yeah, Eggman's he's deliberating on how to handle this situation, and M is like, well, I'll just go to Angel Island, and Eggman's like, well, you got fucked up last time, so maybe not.
Right.
And instead, he decides on a secret weapon he's had hidden for a while.
And I did not realize the significance of this until later, but I'd like to mention that he's like, this control collar will ensure compliance.
Yeah.
Mm.
So apparently, the Dark Legion has a mole in Cage's army, and Leonda finally gets correspondence from him about where Locke is. So it's time to attack.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we get another awesome full-page group shot of all of them heading out, but Sonic is so fast that he just jumps across all of their flying saucers. So we get to see Locke's prison chamber, and I want to add, the way that Locke is suspended here is the same way that Enerjack was back in, like, when he got reintroduced to the Dark Legion, like, a million comics ago.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
I don't know what the significance of that is, but it's a neat throwback.
It is a neat throwback.
That is interesting, yeah.
And, Lauren, why don't you take this away?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that the sign for Dingo City says "Death and Pestilence to all echidnas." So, wow, General Cage is just cartoonishly evil. Great, but yeah. So who here is serving Cage like his meal? It's Harry. It's my boy Harry, but he can't catch a break, can he? I do like this moment though. Because Cage is like, Harry, what's your problem? Why can't you just be like a normal dingo and like be militant and obedient? And Harry is just like super nervous here. And so at first I was like, oh, well, this is sad. But you will learn that there's actually a reason that he's so on edge pretty quickly. But before then, everyone bursts in and there's a big old fight again.
Yeah, the heroes are really just in time because Eggman is telling Cage to kill Locke if he's not going to talk. And all hell breaks loose in another giant battle scene. Another one that's kind of hard to read, but, you know, if you skim over it with your eyes, it's that way, but if you get deep in the details, obviously it's comprehensible.
Yeah.
There is a strange detail in the background here where it says that Dingo City is headed by General Cage, son of General Stryker. And I'm like, hey, wait a second.
And Stryker's blocked out.
Yeah, why is that detail revealed here in the background? Because it's not within the dialogue. Maybe it is in part 4. I haven't read that yet. But it isn't yet. And so it's weird that they would put that here. And yes, the fact that he's crossed out is like, wow, wait a minute. Huh? What's going on? And I guess they'll probably expand on this later, but it's just weird. It throws me through the loop, and it's like, but we're not going to do that right now.
Nah, instead, so Cage takes a swing at Sonic, but he's too fast for him and just makes him run into a wall, and he gets some censored swear words, and then they just kind of immediately move to where Locke is without even, like, acknowledging him. Like, apparently he thought that was enough to take him out. He gets back up in a second, but yeah, this next panel is hilarious, where Sonic very nearly punches Harry in the face before Locke's like, Harry's the double agent, Sonic.
Yeah, this is funny too, because like if any other character pretty much had come in here, they would have recognized Harry.
Sure.
It's just Sonic who doesn't.
Sonic never met him, so
yeah, Sonic's never met Harry. This really kind of feels like let's introduce Sonic to all of these Knuckles story characters.
Well, they're making the most out of the fact that they were so disconnected for so long.
Right. No, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I also really appreciate here that yes, Harry's a double agent. Good. Heck yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I don't. Harry doesn't seem like he would have just blindly been following orders.
He's a good dude.
I'm just glad, because at first I thought he was just a pushover, because before he was being pressured by like Stryker, and so I was like, oh well, I guess Cage is just even harsher than his father. But no. Harry got the last laugh. That's great.
Yeah, and yeah, they get locked down from there. He must have a hell of a headache after being upside down that long.
Yeah.
Cage gets back up and attacks Sonic and Knuckles, but they send him directly through the wall, so it barely means anything. He's kind of a joke, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's been in charge, but I don't think he's seen like much serious action.
Well, I'm guessing there's been no one, because the Dark Legion has only been liberating other camps. They haven't been gone straight for Echidna City or Dingo City. I assume there's been no one who can really stand up to him.
So what I'd say is that Dingo City, that sign, we were talking about how Stryker's name is crossed out, which, I mean, they're both named Stryker, whatever. So what I would theorize is that Eggman made his offer to Helmut first, and maybe Helmut was the one who took Echidnaopolis, but when he saw what Dingo City would become, that's the point at which he left, and Cage took over his position.
Yeah.
Interesting. The fact that you're saying that now makes me think that it's not explained, which is a little unfortunate.
We are not entirely done with these two characters and how they relate, but there's no flashback explaining how we got here, if that's what you're hoping for.
Well, darn.
But, yeah, so they donk Cage, but Eggman's like, oh, you think you've won, have you? Well, too bad. My secret weapon is about to arrive.
Nothing could have prepared me for what this secret weapon is, either.
It's fucking Hunter, the gun guy from the Knuckles and Gorilla comic.
What the heck?
Yeah,
you cannot stop Ballers. He is a force to be reckoned with. Once he has control of the Knuckles elements, nothing can stop him. He is going to use everything to its fullest, apparently.
It's perfect because he was stashed in Haven and Eggman took control of Angel Island where the Brotherhood was
that's true.
I completely forgot where he even ended up, but you are correct. That is true.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah.
If the listeners haven't caught it yet, also that's great payoff with the fact that he's wearing a collar now, just like how Hunter put Knuckles in a collar. That's just perfect.
Yeah, and look at his design.
He looks like a fucking Dragon Ball character. I love it.
Yeah, he's got like Vegeta's face, and he's got there's like a pink square next to his eye. I don't know what that is, but it evokes a Scouter.
That's obviously it's supposed to evoke a Scouter.
And he's got like a lightning spear, and I'm not sure what the bumper is, but that's there. It's a star bumper from the games.
It says egg on it. It's clearly from the egg.
From the egg, yes. Yeah, it's fascinating how you can take. You see it. I'm gonna get a little meta here, but you see it in a lot of stuff where like old series are revived and there's just a completely new spin put on it. But it's fascinating how you can take a core concept and just completely renew it. Like you understand where it came from, but like by daring to try something new and different, you can breathe remarkable new life into things. And you're just seeing that time and time again here.
Yeah, and this is what I love about this arc. It is what I love about most of Ian Flynn's work. Not all of it. Some of his stuff isn't that great, but most of it is really great because they don't throw anything in the garbage. They look at the assets they have and say, what about these? What about this is worth keeping, and how can I make this into something cool that fits and is interesting? And a cliffhanger like this, with this visual difference, but this level of continuity without missing a beat in the storytelling. You know, this doesn't feel like some radical new reversal in direction from what we've been doing up to this point. It is utterly absurd that they got the sign-off to do this, but I am so here for it. Everything done with Ken's content by people other than Ken it elevates it.
It's cool. It's interesting stuff.
It's just an instant upgrade. I'm so glad that he didn't claim full ownership of these things until later. We got to see some of this stuff.
Yeah. But of course, there is a transaction in all of this, and it is our last story for the night. Although, frankly, it's probably the most interesting of the 25 years later stories that we've done today.
I think so.
This is A Difference of Opinion. God, what an interesting fucking title. Sorry. Penders and Butler, while trying to figure out how to solve the planet crisis, that's what I'm going with, Sonic and Knuckles discuss some textured personal history. Yeah, so Sonic and Knuckles are finally going to have a conversation with each other.
About fucking time.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn a little bit about why they're not really friends anymore, and you bet it's disappointing.
It's, disappointing insofar as I don't think it's realistic. But it does throw me through the loop a little bit, which is something that these stories have not done. I don't know if there's anything to say here about these first few pages. They're just like, all right, buddy, let's take a walk.
Yeah, it's mostly the flashback that I care about. So
yes, there's flashback.
Apparently,
apparently,
one time, Eggman stole the Master Emerald, which, for some reason, brought back Gruckles, who then...
I can explain. It's very simple.
Oh boy, okay. Alright.
Penders didn't want Gruckles gone, and so he just came up with some nonsense to bring it back. There you go.
Okay.
No, I get that, but it's Eggman stealing the Master Emerald. He does that, like, twice a week. Like, who gives a shit? Why is that? Okay. But so that brings back Gruckles, who then proceeded to kill Eggman because we don't want Sonic and Company to do it.
Right.
Of course. And then he goes crazy with power and tries to recreate Mobius in his image.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
What?
Is Knuckles God?
Yes. So I think that Penders is like, well, shoot, they made me stop my storyline. Okay, I'll just, in a flashback, summarize what I wanted to happen anyway to get to this point. Because he had this whole grand plan that would have taken him like 2,000 issues to actually get through. But he's been forced to skip ahead a little bit here. I think this is probably approximately what he wanted to happen. And so, yeah, I guess at some point Gruckles would have gone back to the world after, like, mastering his powers in heaven or something and been like, I'm God now. I can fix everything.
Boy.
Well,
but then he doesn't fix everything because that's stupid.
And so for the longest time, I saw this issue and I was like, well, what is he even trying to do when he quote unquote remakes Mobius? And so you can just barely see on the margins of the panel where he's shooting energy that there's like a Robo City on the outside of it, but on the inside where Knuckles is, there's like trees and stuff. So I assume it's that he obliterates like technology. And I guess that's why Julie Sue is looking at her hands there. The problem is Julie Sue doesn't have any cybernetic prosthetics on her arms, and the ones on her hair are still there.
Whoops.
So it's really just that his powers turn his girlfriend naked, I guess. Which is, I guess, fine, because she doesn't wear pants to begin with. But, yeah, like, what? What are you talking about?
I
Yeah,
and
this
so
is
Sonic and
where
friends...
Pandora's Knuckles was going, apparently.
Sonic and friends had to stop him with a magic button?
You got it! The magic button!
Well,
Of course.
what does it even do? He presses it, and then Knuckles, Gruckle's final explosion, I guess.
Oh shit, he did explode one more time.
Well,
Yeah.
he explodes, and that's what makes Knuckles lose his eye.
Yeah, I mean, explosions will do that.
But, like, what do you mean? Why does the not crazy button make you explode?
I don't...
Is crazy stored in the eyes?
Sure.
They didn't say as much because he doesn't explain things when they're really important to explain.
Yeah,
And
when they're not.
over explains the rest of the time, exactly. But I have to assume this is a portable chaos siphon of some sort.
I guess, but why does it make him explode? Why does it blow up his eye?
Don't you remember what happened when the chaos siphon was used on him other times? He exploded.
Yeah, but it didn't make his eyes explode. I don't even know
Well,
how.
it's because he shot him in the eye.
Ah, yes.
I guess. And well,
It's much
that's
like when
apparently-
Mogul used it on him. Honestly, as long as you say this is a chaos siphon, it actually makes perfect sense with what's been pre-established.
Yes,
I
it
guess.
does, yeah.
But all of this comes down to this is why Knuckles is bitter? This is why he and Sonic aren't on good terms? Does he not think it was right to stop him from going crazy?
Apparently he doesn't.
No, I'm pretty sure Knuckles wanted things that way, but now he's not God, so we can't do that anymore. Whoops.
Oopsies.
Sonic even straight up, because it's not about the eye, I don't think. Sonic even says he could just replace that with a real eye anytime he wants.
Right.
So what's the point? And the hilarious thing is that right after this, they all but say, like, this doesn't really matter to the current problem.
Yeah, because the heroes have to make up their differences and
Right.
join together and save the day or whatever. Much as I would have liked my original theory to be true about Knuckles keeping the eye to show allegiance with the Dark Legion, I'm going to have to trash that theory. Because I actually think, based on the fact that he was like erasing technology, he is no longer with the Dark Legion at this point.
I would
he
assume
actually,
not.
once again, thinks that they're bad news.
Yeah.
And so, actually, what the case seems to be here is that he kept the eye as a reminder, basically, to either Sonic or himself or just everyone at large of this what he views as a travesty. He doesn't want anyone to forget what happened, and so Sonic here is basically saying that he's like, you could have gotten a real eye. Well, what's the deal? They dance around this because these characters never seem to address anything directly. But I do think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, which is still dumb, by the way. But yes, I think you're.
Well,
correct.
yes.
And yeah, to have all of that and just be like, wait, we're supposed to be fixing the problem. How do we do that? Oh, I don't know. And that's the end.
Yep.
Mobius 25 years later. You are hilarious for not any good reasons.
Uh-huh.
But you know what? We are getting Return to Angel Island out of it, and we are going to have to finish off that plot line next week, because that is all of it for tonight. Return to Angel Island is so good, man. I'm so glad we got here.
Yeah, it's been very interesting.
We just gotta deal with 25 years later along with it.
It's like, it almost makes the journey to this point feel worth it.
Almost.
I'm very glad to have had you guys with me for it. But with all that said, we are done for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank both of you, my co-hosts, for being here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you next Sunday for another exciting episode. I hope you have a great night, and take care.